Is Portland, Oregon a good place for families to raise kids? In this video, we'll talk about schools, childcare, activities, crime, all the things that are going to be important to parents that are thinking about moving to the Portland, Vancouver metropolitan area. If that's you, you won't want to miss this video. Stick around. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel Living in Oregon. Or if you're new to this channel, if it's your first time here, my name is Seth Marchant. I'm a licensed real estate broker in the state of Oregon and Washington. On this channel, we show you what it's like to live in Oregon, specifically focusing around the Portland, Vancouver metropolitan area. And in this video, we're going to talk about, is this a good place for people to raise their kids? Now, I know Portland's been in the news a lot over the years, and it's had people questioning safety, which of course is paramount to parents that have kids. And we've got a couple of videos that might cover those things, some of those different topics, including some videos on crime, if you want to check out some of our older videos there. And I'm going to run you through some data. This is from usnews.com. They have an entire section on their website dedicated to education and a lot of different stats. So schools, one of the most important things, of course, to parents. How are the schools around here in Oregon? And I'm going to show you some of the rankings here in just a moment, specifically for the Portland, Vancouver area. In general, the schools rank right around average to slightly above average when compared to the other 50 largest metropolitan areas in the United States. Some of the metrics that determine these things, test scores. The Portland, Vancouver metropolitan area rank about average to slightly above average for test scores. The better schools rank significantly above average as far as college readiness, measured by AP preparedness, ACT, SAT scores, and college enrollment rates, about the same. The Portland metropolitan area ranks about average to slightly above average. As far as graduation rates go, to contrast with California, which is where so many people are coming from, graduation rates in California are at 87%. In the Portland metropolitan area, they're just a hair under at 86%. But if you look at some of the top schools, which you'll see in the list that I'm going to show you here in just a moment, those graduation rates are going to be closer to 90%. And as we look through some of these stats and rankings on this video, you're going to notice a lot of the same towns popping up again. First, if you're not familiar with the area, the Portland metro area is a tri-county area consisting of Multnomah County, Clackamas County, and Washington County. Multnomah County is where Portland is, Portland proper. That's where downtown is. That's where I'm at right now. A lot of the towns that you're going to see showing up again and again, Beaverton, Lake Oswego. You're going to see places like Wilsonville, West Lynn, and Sherwood. Those are all in what's considered the suburbs of Portland, Washington, and Clackamas County. Whereas when you see Grant and Lincoln, those are actually in Multnomah County in Portland proper. As far as top middle schools goes, I wasn't able to sort this out specifically by the Portland, Vancouver metro area, so it's for the entire state of Oregon. But as you might imagine, even if you just simply filter by the entire state, you are going to find that most of the top schools are going to be in the major metropolitan area of our state in Portland, Vancouver. And like the high schools, you're going to see a lot of the same towns that show up for the primary schools. One question I get asked sometimes is, where can you go that you're going to find great schools at every level, from primary to middle school to high school? When it comes to the Portland public schools, where you find Grant and Lincoln, it tends to be a little bit more spotty in Multnomah County, whereas if you go to the Lake Oswego school district, it really doesn't matter what school it is. For primary, they're all going to be very, very highly rated. It's going to be very similar for the West Lynn Wilsonville school district. So if you're not going to be too specific about where you live, which of course is very hard to do right now, but you're not sure what primary school they might go to, but you want them to go to a good primary school, you can feel pretty confident that you can do that in West Lynn, Wilsonville, or Lake Oswego. You could probably put Sherwood in that list as well. Now, how about childcare, including pre-K? From the data that I've gathered, looks like for the top 50 metros, Portland, Vancouver falls slightly higher than average. So it's going to be a little bit more expensive for your child care in Portland, Oregon. Infant care is around $1,400 to $2,000. Toddler care can be anywhere from $1,200 to $1,800 a month. And then preschool age, generally going to be about $1,000 to $1,500 a month. Whereas the national average is going to be closer to $1,200. If we compare that to like California, for example, infant care can exceed $2,000 a month easily in places like San Francisco and LA. If we look to the Northeast, it can also get closer towards $2,500 a month. Where it's less expensive, Midwest, $1,000 to $1,500 a month. The South, $800 to $1,200 a month. That's about the cheapest that I've seen. Now, just anecdotally, there is not an abundance of childcare, and specifically what people might say is quality childcare or highly rated childcare. So when you're looking for childcare or looking for pre-K, you typically want to source that well in advance. I think we were signing up for pre-K around January or February for the following school year. Now, as far as ratios go, I think they're pretty good overall. You're going to see a lot of variation. Just to give you one number, the top-rated high school in Portland, 21 to 1 student to teacher ratio. And I've seen that pretty consistent in a lot of places. I just mentioned pre-K. We've got a couple kids in pre-K. I've got 3 kids. And usually the pre-K classes that we've been in the past 3 years, usually like 8 to 10 kids, and there's usually 1 teacher and up to 3 assistants. So your ratios in some places I've seen there be like 3 to 4 kids for every 1 teacher or 1 assistant. So just in general, Oregon's education and childcare going to be right around average, but you can definitely find above average to exceptional if you want to look for it. All right, how about things to do? What are people doing in the Portland, Vancouver area, especially when it's raining so much, right? Everybody has to stay inside because it's raining all the time here. Well, sports are really big here, and let me show you actually some of the top-rated high schools for athletics. We do have a lot of indoor stuff here, including indoor soccer, basketball courts. You know, it doesn't, just because it's raining all the time doesn't mean that that we're not still doing sports here in Oregon. But what are some of the other popular things? Well, we've got intramurals to prep leagues. There's a lot of things that, if you want, your kids for the most part can play year-round, like soccer or gymnastics. Basketball, of course, basketball is huge in Portland, Oregon, and we've got a lot of other things for kids. Actually, you probably can't see it too well from here, but actually where that submarine is, over there, that is the Oregon Museum of Science and Industry, also known as OMSI. Excellent place to take kids. The zoo here is awesome. We've got an amusement park called Oaks Park Amusement Park. Tons of parks, of course, skate parks, bike parks, like BMX, think like BMX tracks, skate parks, of course. Bowling, farms are really big here in Oregon. This is a farming state, and so farms around here tend to cater to families. In the spring and the summertime, there's berry picking and flowers, whereas you get into the fall time, you've got pumpkins and hay rides, corn mazes, and then getting into the holidays, usually there's going to be Santa, you know, an opportunity to take a picture with Santa and reindeer and all those types of things. So farms usually have things going for kids like 6 to 9 months out of the year. We have a thing called Movies in the Park, where local municipalities, like a local city, will put on, like usually once a week, like on a big screen in a park somewhere, a movie that's usually family friendly. Do the same thing around here with concerts. These things exist all around the Portland metropolitan area, so it's not like it's just in one place. Most like towns or suburbs or neighborhoods have music in the park or concerts in the park. And another really great thing that we have is there's a lot of kids programs at libraries here. I don't know what the libraries are like where you live, but I actually hadn't visited a library for a long time until I had kids. had somebody the other day say to me, well, why do we have libraries anymore? Because why do we need, you know, most people are listening to Audible and looking at books on their iPads, and you know, but libraries, if you haven't been to one in a while, a lot of libraries around the Portland metropolitan area provide a lot more than just books. You can rent movies or electronics, but there's usually a lot of kids programs. One of the kids programs I really appreciated for my kids was sign language. You've never been around kids, you don't know kids. Small children can understand what you're saying well before they can vocalize that themselves. So for them to be able to communicate using motions, you know, using their hands rather than speaking is very helpful. Even the kids just learning a few signs is really nice. And of course, we've got a lot of those like bowling, fun zone types of places where you've got bowling, rock walls, bounce houses, video games, all that stuff. One I commonly go to is called Langer's. It's in Sherwood. I also go to Big Owl's from time to time, which is out in Beaverton. Now, some of these things can get really busy, and some of these programs can fill up fairly quickly. And there's not a huge abundance of all these things that I'm talking about. But if you want to be able to keep your kid occupied and have activities, have educational experiences all throughout the year, you can definitely find it around the Portland metropolitan area. Okay, how about maybe the most important question for a lot of people, safety. How is the safety around here? Well, like I mentioned, we've covered crime in the past, and again, I am a licensed real estate broker, and realtors are not supposed to speak directly to buyers about crime because it can lead to steering. But speaking to a broad audience, you here on YouTube, I can speak a little bit more generally about crime. But if you ask me personally, I'm probably just going to direct you to some stats. I'll show you some of the stuff that we look at. There's a couple places where you can look up crime stats online. If you want me to direct you to those, you can get in touch with me. But what are you going to find when you look up the stats? Well, Portland definitely isn't as dangerous or violent as most of the top or the most violent cities in the 50 biggest cities in the United States. And specifically when you consider and include Washington and Clackamas County. As I'm looking through, showing you some of this data for those three areas, you can see that Washington County and Clackamas County, the numbers are significantly lower than Multnomah County. There's a lot of national news talking about all the crime going on in Portland, and that Portland was burning around the time of the lockdowns. Some of the stuff you saw on TV might be true, some of it might have been exaggerated, but regardless, what I can say is if you're considering moving out towards the suburbs like Washington or Clackamas County, for the most part, again, when you're looking at these numbers, you'll notice that there is a distinct difference between Clackamas County, Washington County, and Multnomah County, where Portland is. So in other words, during 2020, 2021, where crime, specifically homicides, ticked up significantly in Multnomah County, really didn't change at all in Washington or in Clackamas County. So the people living in those two counties, when we had all this unrest and chaos going on in Portland, if you didn't leave your house, if you didn't watch the news, you probably really you wouldn't have even noticed the difference. You wouldn't have known, you know, that Portland was burning. Got a lot of family here, a lot of friends here. I can say growing up, I think just about all of us felt pretty safe regardless of where you went in the Portland metropolitan area. Over the last few years, that might have changed a little bit. It's a little bit sketchy in some places. It's a little bit spotty, but just know that it's really few and far between. So if you are thinking about moving here and safety is a concern and you want to be somewhere safe, just know it actually won't be that hard for you to find somewhere where you're going to feel comfortable and feel safe in the Portland, Vancouver metro area. So I hope that helps you to get a little bit more insight as to what it might be like if you have kids and if you're thinking about moving to this area. Again, I am a licensed broker. I've helped a lot of people relocate to Portland and Vancouver, licensed in both Oregon and Washington. If you're somebody that's thinking about taking the next steps, if you have questions, I invite you to call, text, email. You can hit the QR code that you see if you're watching from TV. That'll take you to our website. can also find a link to our calendar in the description of this video, where you can schedule a Zoom call, which is great for people coming from outside of the state, which so many of you that are watching this video are. And if you want to see more videos about what it's like to live in Oregon, make sure and subscribe to this channel. We have over 100 videos on the channel. We release new videos every single week. And if this video helped you, give me a thumbs up, lets me know I'm doing a good job. Feel free to leave me a comment. Let me know if you have any questions. And until next time, take care, everyone.